I dug up my old yearbook from 1971. You know the notes that friends and teachers write, all those heartwarming little messages. One classmate had written word for word, "Dear Sharon, I hope you can find a date for the prom." There it is, in permanent ink for all of eternity, my struggle to find a date. And now, 40 years later, I still cringe when I see the words. I thought of blocking it out, but then my grandchildren will look at it, and they'll say, "I wonder what happened to Grandma, what did someone say?" In hindsight, it probably couldn't be much worse, but there it is. Yes, girls, I did manage to find a date. It was a friend of my sister's. So it doesn't get much more mortifying than that. But Holy Angels means so much more to me than finding a date for the prom. I mean, really, this school is where I found my voice. I came into grade 10 very shy. Helen Graham, my grade 10 homeroom teacher, forced me into dating. I didn't have a choice. She even wrote my speeches for me because I didn't know where to start. She whipped me into shape, I'll tell you, and she changed the shape of my life in the process. She started me on the road to being a journalist. Sister Graham was my first great mentor. I wish she could be here today, but she passed away years ago. And even though I phoned her long after I graduated to thank her, I wish I'd stayed in closer touch and gone to see her over the years. This is actually a deep regret of mine. I urge you, fellow grads of Holy Angels, learn from my mistake. Stay in touch with your most meaningful, life-enhancing teachers. Along with your family members, these are the people who will impact your life in the most wonderful ways. By the way, teachers are the greatest reference writers, so get them to it. The best references I've ever seen are written by teachers. But many of you are probably not thinking of references. You probably have no idea what you want to do with your lives. I did want to be a television news anchor, always. It was just a little minor complication back then. There had never been a female news anchor, never. Some people thought that should never change. Women can't read the news, I heard, and their voices are too shrill. Women just aren't credible. No one at this school said I couldn't do it, by the way. I went for it. Right after university, I landed my first job at CJCB, but that wasn't easy, girls. I got that job after relentlessly stalking the program manager. I'm not kidding. His name was Bill Holmes, and I would not take no for an answer. I was determined, and girls, sometimes that's the way you've got to do it. He kept saying no, and I kept showing up at the television station, till he finally said yes. I think the clincher was when I told him he wouldn't have to pay me. He realized I desperately wanted the job. He did give me $100 a week. Terrible salary even back then. But he gave me a chance, and a month later, although I was hired as a secretary, I was thrown on the air when the cooking show host forgot to show up. So I'm thrown on live. I could have been Martha Stewart. But 10 months later, I was at CBC Halifax reading the news. I had done what I had been told by many people was impossible, and I was only 22. So grads, never listen to negative people. Tune them out. They were lining up to rain on my parade, I'll tell you. And I don't know where I'd be today, but I could have done this career, that's for sure, if I listened to it. You can do the impossible. People do it all the time. You met my long-suffering, long-haired son, who's a wonderfully great fellow, and boy, Greg is an award-winning playwright. I'm allowed to do that. That's what we mothers do. But I want to tell you about my older son, Jay. When Jay was only 12 years old, he told me that he wanted to work for Robert Evans of Paramount Pictures in Hollywood. Now, Robert Evans is the former president of Paramount. He's producer of such great films as The Godfather, Chinatown, and Lost Story. He even discovered Jerry Nicholson. Jay, my son, thought that Evans was the greatest filmmaker alive. And he was determined to follow this crazy dream of working for him. Even I tried to get his head out of the clouds, and it just seemed more than impossible. I'm a positive thinker, but Hollywood's a long way from Toronto where we lived. But all through his teens, Jay would tell me, I'm going to work for Robert Evans. Well, what do you think Jay is doing today? Today, Jay is head of development for the Robert Evans Company at Paramount Pictures in Hollywood. He's held that position for 5 years. Sends his regards. He was too busy to come today. Nothing is impossible, dear grads. And I know what you're thinking. Oh, what does she know? We have no help. We don't have connections. We couldn't do something like that. Where would we turn for help or advice? Well, you can always write to me at SharonDunn.com, because I'll tell you what, I do have connections. And ladies, we're all Holy Angels grads, so we're in this together, girls. It's called the Holy Angels Old Girls Club. Remember the Old Boys Club? The Old Girls Club, and we're all members, so we've got to help each other, and I'm not kidding. If you call me, I'll help you. I've been fired from only one job in my life. It wasn't a news job or a writing job. I was a maid at Celtic Lodge. Right after high school. I had 10 rooms to clean. That includes 10 bathrooms, 20 beds to make up. I was only making $68 a week. I didn't quit only because my father had predicted that I would. And we all know that proving our parents wrong is a wonderful incentive in life. There was no way I was going to let my father be right. I'd die first, I decided, and it looked like I might. I survived only by eliminating the daily vacuuming portion of my job. I didn't vacuum any of my rooms like I was supposed to for the whole summer. I want you to try to imagine what the carpets look like. I got the axe. My position was filled even before I left the door. People were clamoring for it. It was a tough job, it didn't pay well. The applicants, very smart, hardworking, and athletic. They were better than me. I couldn't make it as a maid. So the next summer, while my girlfriends went back to Celtic, making fun of me for not getting hired back, I had no choice but to apply for better summer jobs and hope for the best. Well, I got the surprise of my life when I was hired as creative director of an ad agency. Guess why I got the job? There was no competition. Most people don't try out for the better jobs because they don't think they're going to get them. Even better than that, the boss was thrilled with my performance. I thought I must be showing a real creative edge for the ad business. He told me at the end of the summer, the only reason he liked me is I never missed a day at work. So, sometimes to be a success, girls, all you have to do is show up. But remember to show up. And whenever you enter the workforce, whether after university or next year, aim ridiculously high. If you're going to be a brain surgeon, I'd like you to go to university first, but you don't have to start at the bottom of the ladder. Take a risk and be willing to embarrass yourself, just like I'm doing here today. If it helps one of you, I'll be happy. Another thing I want to tell you, I know you're all warm, so I won't go on. They say hard work never kills anyone, but I'll tell you, it kills people all the time. Don't work hard, work smart. My son says it's the best advice I've ever given him. Try to make your lives easier. People are killing themselves with overwork and stress. The hardest I've worked in my life is when I was in grade 12 at Holy Angels, president of the student council. I had an ulcer. I was 17, I was running around, not eating properly, and stressing out. Set up your life so you're not overworked and overwhelmed. You can make your lifestyle work for you. If you don't like getting up early in the morning, don't get up early in the morning. Get a light shift. Work out of home. I mean, you can live now in Sydney if you want over the internet. You can live in Toronto, California, or Timbuktu, it doesn't matter. You can make it. But if there's one thing I want you to remember from my speech today, and it's not that I couldn't get a date for the prom, please. I want to say this to you, and I hope you remember it. Surround yourself by people who treat you right. Girls, don't let anyone treat you badly. I've seen the damage that can do. You deserve the best. Please remember that because your future depends on it. So promise me you're not going to let anyone ever treat you badly. Okay, I believe you then. I believe you. Thank you so much, everyone. I want to say one thing before I sit down, and that is I feel bad that this school may be closing down. I think Holy Angels is wonderful, and we have private schools in Toronto where a school of this caliber would cost about $25,000 a year, and it's always been free to the students of Holy Angels, and you will know why it's free, because Holy Angels is priceless. And girls, you're the most beautiful group of Holy Angels I've seen this side of heaven, and I wish you the best. If there's ever anything I can do, I'm here for you. Thank you, everybody.